Look, even iconic television shows from the 1980s had some episodes that were, well, kind of stinkers. But we don't hold it against them. I mean, a crappy episode here and there makes you appreciate the really awesome episodes even more, am I right? Welcome to Knight Rider Historians, and today we are counting down the top 10 worst episodes of Knight Rider. For this list, we are looking at those episodes where the storylines were a bit subpar, the action was not the most exciting, and the episode just left us with a general feeling of disappointment. Number 10, The Rotten Apples. Michael and KITT come to the rescue of Rebecca Hammond, a young rancher whose cattle are being stolen by a crooked sheriff and his gang. So, where do we begin with this episode? How about the stereotypical gang of misfits? The Breakfast Club did it better. The stereotypical bad sheriff? The Dukes of Hazzard did that better.
Love ambush. Good news, it's them Duke boys. Is it? All right. Ooh.
Not to mention the terrible 80s catchphrases.
Bizarre! And what a freakazoid!
We did get to see KITT go up against a pair of monster trucks, but the general plot and very, very 80s characters, even though this was an 80s show, earn the Rotten Apples a spot on this list. Number 9, Night of a Thousand Devils. Michael vows to find the man responsible when an FBI friend is murdered during a drug raid. This story, written by Peter Allen Fields, doesn't really feature KITT to his fullest potential, with stunts kept to a minimum. Seeing KITT enter the Baja race was neat, but overall the action was pretty mellow in this one. Production memos at the time found the story to have potential, but thought it needed more heart. And you know what? We kind of agree. Plus, maybe a turbo boost. Number 8, Custom Made Killer. Michael and KITT are asked to investigate the death of a fashion designer after the burnt-out shell of his car is found at the bottom of a cliff. Custom Made Killer isn't all bad, but the main plot dealing with dueling fashion designers is a bit much, and a bit too 80s for us. It is nice to see some returning Season 1 guest stars such as Jimmy Murphy from No Big Thing and Alan Oppenheimer from Deadly Maneuvers, and we do get to see some nice action sequences throughout the episode, but overall, the plot is a bit dull. Number 7, Burial Ground. Michael's vacation is once again interrupted when a young woman needs the Foundation's help in order to stop a greedy businessman from gaining control of sacred Indian territory. Burial Ground suffers from a slow plotline, but does feature a few decent action sequences, such as KITT being in a landslide. Production notes at the time thought the script was adequate, with a decent amount of action and jeopardy, but it needed to be more creative and the story needed tightened a bit. Burial Ground was not necessarily memorable, but it was better than the episodes that we're about to discuss. Number 6, Deadly Maneuvers. Airing second in the series after only the pilot, Deadly Maneuvers took a drastic step backwards for a new series trying to establish itself with its audience. After seeing all of KITT's fantastic stunts in the first episode, here the most impressive thing he does is shoot a flamethrower out the back. No turbo boost, no self-driving, no anything that could hook the audience in. Patricia McPherson makes her first appearance as Bonnie Barstow, but there's not even an introduction to her character. The series would have been much better off had it aired the episode that it was intended to be shown next, Inside Out. However, production issues pushed that episode back and moved Deadly Maneuvers up. Don't touch the turbo boost button, but please do press the subscribe button to help our channel grow. Share this channel with your friends. If they don't like it, were they ever truly your friend to begin with? Number 5. Night Flight to Freedom. Michael and RC head to Mexico to rescue a political prisoner during a military coup. This episode touted Michael's date with a firing squad in its promos, and viewers got to see KITT drive through lava not once, but twice. Another scene showing KITT disguised as a rundown car is fun, but the overall storyline of the political takeover, overdone in many action shows of the day, drastically lowers the enjoyment of this installment. Number 4. Redemption of a Champion. Michael investigates the suspicious death of Damon Leland, a boxing reporter. Despite having a number of famous names from the world of boxing at the time, Don King, Ken Norton, Jerry Quarry, the episode itself is uninspired at best. The finale in the boxing arena and the ambush at the Sepulveda Dam are both nice, but those scenes don't make up for the slow pace of the rest of the episode. Number 3, Night of the Rising Sun. As the penultimate episode of the series, we see Michael trying to protect a young Asian boy whose father believes he is part of a complex Japanese tradition. Production memo said the script was confusing, slow, and suffered from a lack of action. Indeed, beyond a couple of shots of KITT self-driving in a very short, uninspired car chase at the end, the only other action we see with KITT seems kind of forced. Michael shows off KITT to Coy by simply flooring the gas pedal. Number 2, Night Song. Michael and KITT return to Chicago after their adventure in Night of the Juggernaut to visit RC's old neighborhood, only to get embroiled in a battle between a real estate developer and a group of local business owners. Despite a guest appearance by The New Edition, hugely popular in 1985, Night Song is a mostly terrible episode. Ray Charles was scheduled to play the role of Charlie Connors, but pulled out of the episode the day before it was supposed to start shooting, so Tom Sullivan had to quickly step in. Production memos at the time note that the first draft of this episode was terribly weak, only slightly improved with subsequent rewrites. Despite the fact that this episode was to take place in Chicago, it was in reality a bottle show, with most of the filming taking place on the Universal Studios lot, with stock footage of Chicago pulled from Night of the Juggernaut. But despite all of this, we do get one of the absolute best bloopers from the entire series.
Perhaps I can be of some help. I'm always good, Michael. You know that.
Before we reveal the number 1 worst episode of Knight Rider, let's take a quick look at some of the runners-up that just missed out on being in our top 10 list. Nightlines. Michael investigates a young widow's claim that her husband's supposed accidental death at a construction site was in actuality a murder. Night Sting. Michael goes undercover as a hitman in order to stop a diplomatically immune man from leaving the country with a canister of deadly poison. Alright, if you've stuck with us so far, thank you. It's time to reveal the number 1 worst episode of Knight Rider. And I should mention that even the worst episode of Knight Rider is a lot better than some of the sequel Knight Rider series. Alright, the number 1 worst episode of Knight Rider, and I'm sure many, many of you have guessed it, Voodoo Night. This final episode of Knight Rider has Michael investigating a murder where all roads lead back to a mystical voodoo princess. Yes, you heard me right. Michael is hypnotized with a magical earring where he is instructed to basically commit suicide and blah, blah, blah. This is an absolutely terrible episode. Besides one brief scene where KITT drives by himself, he might as well have just been an ordinary Trans Am for all the more they used his special features. Patricia McPherson is notably absent from this episode, as she signed on to a movie and couldn't be available for filming. The episode is so low budget that nearly all of it was filmed on the Universal Studios lot, and they couldn't even be bothered to take KITT out on the road while filming the interior shots for a number of scenes, as they had done for every single previous episode of the series. Instead, they shot some of them on a soundstage. Production memos at the time called this episode weak and actionless. This episode was written by Tim Kring, who would go on to create the popular NBC show Heroes a couple decades later. Maybe that explains the supernatural elements we see in this horrible, horrible episode. So, how did we do? Are there episodes of the series that you think should have been included on this list? Or maybe ones that you think don't deserve a place on this top 10 list? Is Voodoo Night not the absolute worst episode of the original series? Well, if you disagree with me on that one, we're going to have some words. Anyways, let us know in the comments below. We love to hear your thoughts. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. Please like this video and please share with your friends. Alright guys, thanks again for watching. We'll talk to you next time.
And now, while we listen to Joe's selection of Knight Rider music that we received directly from Don Peake himself, we'd like to thank these Patreon supporters. Look at you guys scrolling up the screen to my right. Wait a minute, how can you tell which side is my right, since you can't see me because I'm not on camera? Oh well, you know what I mean. We're featuring these fine supporters at our Knight Rider Prop Restorer level. Thank you very much for your support. And for those of you at the Knight Rider History Hunter level, we're recognizing you right now in the description. Now, if you enjoyed seeing this golden nugget of Knight Rider history being rescued from obscurity, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support would empower us to bring you even more of these historical nuggets. We are the Knight Rider Historians. Till next time, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.